Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Black Filmmakers Matter podcast. And today we have the fabulous Lexx Truss. How are you, Lex?
I'm well. I'm well. How are you? How are you, Corona?
I'm awesome. I'm like, I just can't wait to ask you all these fabulous questions.
Yeah. Likewise. Likewise.
Okay, Lex. So, where are you from?
Yeah. So originally, I'm from Greensboro, North Carolina. I grew up in Greensboro, North Carolina,
Okay.
in the South, and but I currently live in LA and Los Angeles.
Okay. So, tell us about the many hats you wear. Not only are you a writer, but you
Yeah.
also.
Yeah, I'm a director producer too as well. Yeah, overall filmmaker. I've been Yeah, I think I've always kind of been that in some way. Like, I mean, when I was younger, filmmaking was like pretty much my only pursuit, was like the one thing I always wanted to do. Saw myself as a writer director, didn't really see myself as a producer.
Mm.
But the more that I got into the industry, the more I started doing the work, the more it's like I knew how to produce, is the skills that I had. So I think that's naturally why I fall into as a producer, and especially like understanding the business of it too as well, and also understanding, also being a resource to fellow filmmakers and supporting them too as well. It's like when I'm not directing, when I'm not writing, I'm supporting, my peers, and I tend to be a
Right.
producer for them. So it's like things that I've done in the past, I'm able to kind of help lead them or guide them. And so that's kind of how it works for me with as a writer, director, and producer. And it's all interchangeable. It looks differently every year, but it's a cool journey.
Now, let me ask you, how old are you?
I'm 31.
I just want I asked some of you
Yeah,
guys because I want the audience to recognize the different age,
of course.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
age gaps going on in filmmaking. What's
absolutely.
your favorite out of your many hats? What's your favorite hat?
Mm. That's a really good question. I think it's changed over the years. 10 years ago, I probably would say something different, but I would say right now my favorite hat is directing. Just because I think I have the most fun. I feel like I'm in my I, yeah, I think I'm like the best in my element. Doing, on set as a director. I love being on set as a director. I love even developing as a director. Directing is another form of storytelling. It's not quite writing like writing the script, but you still are writing the story. You still
Right.
are, from development, from pre-pro to production to post. And so being able to see a project through as a director, it just never gets old for me. It doesn't necessarily always feel like work. Writing feels like work. Producing definitely feels like work. But with directing is just it's fun, and it's a playground. Like being on set as a director, it's a playground to see, like, all right, in these
Mhm.
12 hours, I have 12 hours to do all of this. This is what I'm gonna do. So it may start off with a blank canvas, and then it's like I'm a painter and I'm able to take all the brushes out and use the crew to paint something by the end of the day, and then you paint it even further and you put the finishing touches on it in post. So it's
I
it's
love
a cool experience.
that. I
Yeah.
love that soliloquy you just used.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, so what was the pivotal moment where you said, "Okay, Lex, filmmaking, that's it"? How old were you? Where were you? Do
Yeah.
you remember the moment?
In some way, yes. So I mean, what I remember is this: is that I was a kid who had ambition and dreams and visions. So I like when I was 4 years old, I wanted to have my own animated show. That I just knew that,
Wow,
right? And
4?
yeah, so I told my mother that, and she didn't say no. Like, she said, "You can do that," and so she made me
Okay.
believe I could do that.
Wow.
By the age of 7, I wanted to write and direct feature films, and my mother helped me with like understanding the knowledge of what that is. Like, I knew I,
Mhm.
I knew I wanted to do what I saw on the TV screen, and
Alright,
li
that's
and live at
powerful.
yeah, and so she would just thank you, yeah, and she was just encourage that and have me look up the definition, so I understand what these things are and understanding who filmmakers are. And so I started off as a student. I started off as like, oh, and then I have to shout out my grandmother too. Like, my mother and my grandmother are very pivotal into the making of who I am as an individual, but definitely
Yeah.
who I am as a filmmaker, because my grandmother bought me my first camera when I was
Woo!
7. Yeah,
Yeah, grandma.
so yeah, so I would say that was really when it was like, okay, I'm giving a camera, I'm being able to like do this and make stuff. Even if like I'm not, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm able to do something with it. And then by the time I was in high school, I went to this like alternative high school that was like, you know, it was called a middle college, which was like a high school on a community college campus, and it was
Okay.
called the Middle College of Entertainment Technology. So the focus was digital media classes and also television production classes. So I was taking television production classes. So I was learning how to like make news stories and make little small projects. And so that was really when I was actually like, okay, I can do this, I have the ability to do this, and I'm realizing I can be good at it. As long as I put my, like, you know, my all and my focus into it. And so
Yeah.
then, you know, my grandmother also helped me, got another camera for me during that time period. And then that just kind of kicked it off and solidified that, like, this is what I'm doing. I ultimately end up going to film school at Point Park University in downtown Pittsburgh in
Wow. Can you
Pennsylvania.
do me a favor?
Yeah,
Can you
for sure.
tell mom and
Yeah,
grandma thank you?
I will. I will.
Thank
Absolutely.
them for me.
I will. I will. I'll call them after this and tell them that for sure. They will
'Cause
definitely appreciate it.
that's powerful.
Yeah.
We didn't even discuss that in all the interviews I've done. It
Wow.
starts at home, you know?
It does. It's
Friends, the aunts, the uncles, mom, yeah.
Yeah, it's very homegrown. I mean, I think that's my brand, and that's me. It's all about being a filmmaker. It's all about taking it back to that, to the roots of everything. It's like that's why, you know, my production company is called Truss Films, so it's my last name and films basically. And you know, my mother and my grandmother's last name is Truss, so it's like it all brings it back to them
Okay,
because I wouldn't be doing any of this without
cool.
them. Yeah, it's full
Okay,
circle.
nice. So
Yeah.
let me ask you this.
Hmm.
Tell us about a current project.
Yeah, I definitely can. So a current project, actually super current. Um, and it wasn't a thing maybe a month ago. It just became a thing. But right now I'm just basically finishing up a short sports documentary piece that I'm doing for this former D1 athlete named Rich Morrow, who is now a professional actor. And that's basically like the story that we're the story arc of the film and of the short. So it's been a really fun experience. Literally shot it 2 Tuesdays ago and finished post basically last week. And that's a current project that's it's pretty cool to see that like in the beginning of May that wasn't a thing, and then by probably May 7th, like maybe a month ago, it became a thing, and then now it's done. And it's something that we're proud of too.
You should be. Good
Yeah.
grief. I'm like, I'm trying to be professional. My feet is like hitting the floor. I'm so excited for you. That's so cool. I want to do a
Yeah.
documentary. I would
Yeah.
like a little short. Do you
You
think
should.
documentaries are harder, easier, or just different than film?
I'll say this is different. And different, but in some ways similar. Like I don't think I wouldn't say harder or easier. I think like they all have each format where if it's like for television, feature film, short film, doc, branded content, commercial, they all have their own complexes, they all have their own nuances, they all have their own things that make it like smooth or easy or whatever it is. But for
Right.
documentary, I think what's cool about it is that you can take that narrative mind, you can take that mind from like the scripted mindset of shaping a story in a film. Because essentially, like if you come from the scripted world, you have a 3-act structure, a beginning, middle, and then that gets you to a completed project. With
Mhm.
documentary, it can be anything. It could be that, and then it could be just flowing, and you're really just documenting something. But for me, what I realized in my storytelling as a documentary filmmaker is that it's not quite different, too different from me as a narrative filmmaker, whereas like I still approach it with that 3-act structure. And even before we shoot, a lot of it is in the development of like it's almost like I am writing a script. I'm not necessarily writing a script, but I'm building a director's treatment or a pitch deck that is like centered towards the structure of the story, having act 1, act 2, and act 3. And so we know what story we're going to capture in some type of way. It can
Right.
flow in any way. And I think that's what makes it easy, is that you kind of can allow it to, for me, it's easy because you can allow it to flow and become whatever it is by the end of it, but you still have a structure. And so I think that
Right.
also helps it be easy too as well. But I enjoy it. I enjoy documentary filmmaking, and I enjoy actually working in each of those forms that I mentioned, just because it allows the creativity to not just be in a box, and allows it to like expand. And when you get
Right.
tired of one, you can do the other.
Okay. Nice, man.
Yeah.
I
But
hope
you
y'all
should.
taking notes. I'm
Yeah.
over here taking notes. Oh my God, this is awesome.
Yeah, but I want to encourage you to do that. Like, definitely, if you want to do a doc, just do it. Especially if there's a subject or a person
Mhm,
that you want to
mhm.
shape it on. Whatever, you know, just you. The best way to
And if
do it just
I
by doing.
just to I don't mind talking about it. It's a
Yeah.
documentary on I was just diagnosed with cancer like 2 years ago with blood cancer now. Usually the
Okay.
topic is like breast cancer, right?
Yeah.
Never
Yeah.
really hear about blood cancer. So
It's new
I
to
wanted
me. I.
to
Yeah.
yeah, I wanted to interview women who got that same diagnosis. Like, what was your day like? How was your week after that?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
That's cool.
right.
That's informative and
We
a lot.
never talk about the initial reaction after the diagnosis. We always talk about like the treatment and the the illness.
Yeah.
We never
No.
talk about the initial shock.
Yeah, and I think that that's a good angle too as well. It's like what's the shock? What is the feeling of finding out you have something and what are you going through and talk about that? Because that honestly that's the universal language. That's what people are going to connect to.
That's right.
Whether they're going through it or not, you know, because like especially ones that have because it's a connection there and that's what film is for. So
Yes,
I
sir.
appreciate that you're wanting to do that and you should do that. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have a good one for you.
Please.
Well, two good questions. What's your favorite genre?
So that is a good question. Just like the formats, I do like experimenting with different genres, but I say right now I'm it's kind of in that space of like dark comedy, satirical,
Okay.
satire,
Okay.
comedy. Yeah, that's kind of like a lane that like I want to dive in even more. And so I think that's like where and because I think in that lane you can still cover drama and different things too as well. And even
Yeah.
in a doc that I actually did in the last 2 years for Red Bull, it's a music documentary, but the subject was this hysterical and humorous person that end up coming off as a comedy, and I very much appreciated that. So it's it's cool diving in the realm of comedy.
Awesome, man.
Yeah,
Okay, so as a community, as a Black community in
yeah.
filmmaking, what do we need more of? Like the cliche answer is diversity. We know that.
As
What else
yeah,
do we need in our community to help us prosper and help each other?
man. I do think it does derive over diversity, but it's not in a way that most people think. I think it's we have to be open to different ways of storytelling and different POVs and points of views and criteria. Like I think that ultimately it's going to be a criteria when it comes to like Black film. When I say that is like it's not in the sense of before, even now it could be that way, but definitely in the 90s or 2000s or even before that there was this one type of film or a few types of films that decide that basically decipher what a Black film was. And I
Right.
think the thing is that there's not one person that defines that, in the community in general. So there's a bunch of us. We all make up different points of views and different types of
Yes.
individuals. So it's really
Yes.
like leaning into that gumbo. Like I look at it as a gumbo of like of different assortment of flavors.
I
And it's
love that. Yes.
like ultimately that's really what it is. Cause that's filmmaking in general, right? That's the world of film is when with French film, international film, French film, American film is like there are these different types of films, and you have these films that perform poorly, these films that perform well, these films that all in the middle, and different types of things for different people, and they could be a bunch of them all at once. For us, I think that's what it needs to be. That's what I see the future in the next 50 years
All right,
is
man.
different types of films and a huge library of them. So it's
Mhm.
like something for because you have people who love horror and that's something for them, but you can also have people that like dark comedy or
Yes.
documentaries and different things, and you have it for every. So I think it's like diving into that gumbo of filmmaking and the art of film.
I like that gumbo. I like that. Okay, what's your biggest no-no on set? Like we've had the horror stories, people not showing up, people coming late, not dressed correctly, don't have lines. What is Trust's biggest no-no?
Man, you were asking really good questions. Thank you so much. Questions I don't think I've been asked before. I like that one. Biggest no on set it's tough to define one like the best one in this moment. But I would say that like honestly, I think it's I mean my goal going onto a set and being in community, especially amongst our community, but just in general, is checking the ego at the door. So it's like it's really like, you know, I think the no would be like leading with an egocentric mentality and that only one person is doing this when you clearly see it's 15 odd people or 20 people on set with you and no one's greater than the other. And so I think the no is like talking down to the PA, talking down to anybody on set. We're all making something and we're all are essential. Again, it's a gumbo. We're all essential ingredients to this film. And I may be the director, but I can't do it without everybody else. So it's like usually if we have safety meetings, usually what I say, and if I speak on anything, I may just say like, look, we're a family. We're here as a family and we're here to like make something together. And that one person outdoes the other. And so I think like the no is like thinking you're better than everybody else because you're not. You're not. So it's like, it's like having that family mentality and leaning on everyone. Because if you do that, then regardless of what the result is, you're going to have either a fun experience or like, you know, and people are going to enjoy working with you and want to do it again. And that's what you want. That's success. You know, no matter how much the film performs or how many people see the film, success is being able to have a great experience that you could replicate and keep doing again and continue to make a film, you know. So
oh my God, man, you was ready for me today.
No, thank you. Ready for me? Thank you for this question. Like I appreciate it. Like these questions are amazing. So I'm
okay. I got a fun one.
Yeah, please.
Okay, you ready?
Yes.
If you had the money, the talent, like you could get any star you want, like your dream project.
Wow. Who would it be? Who would it be? What would it be?
Like, yeah, what would you ever thought about a project? Like, man, I wish I had the money. I would.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, in a way, yeah, I have. Ultimately, I think like when I think about it, like us as filmmakers, at the end of the day, knowing, you know, because we're filmmakers and we're not stars, you know, we're just building our stories. Our own stories is like the ones that people don't really care about because like who are you to care about your own personal story, right? So I have this like concept that I've been developing for years on my own life called A Kid Named Leslie, which is based off my own experience, like just growing up in North Carolina. And like ideally, like, you know, it started off as a short and then people have been encouraging me to make it into a series where it's like I want to do it. It's non-linear. You see, it's almost like Everybody Hates Chris, but each episode is like a different age for the character. Like you might see the first episode, he might be age 5. The second episode, he might be age 15. The third episode, he might be 7. You know, and it's like just different things in his life, and it's very like, you know, it kind of in one way experimental, but still a universal connection. But like, I'm out the inspiration of the title. I'm a Kid Cudi fan. He's one of my favorite like music artists, and so since high school, so he had this mixtape called A Kid Named Cudi. So that was the Kid Named Leslie title was an homage to that. And ideally, like the way that the story is structured is a piece where it's told by an unreliable narrator. And ideally it would be cool if the narrator is Kid Cudi, kind of telling the story of young Leslie and then having all the belts and whistles to make the project with maybe his music and all those things. Like that would be ideal, you know.
You have been thinking about this, huh?
I have, yeah. It's like it's one of those things that like at the end of the day, it doesn't stop me from being a filmmaker. I'll keep making films regardless if I make that project or not. But it's something that's just like it's a passion project where it's like if I was able to do it the way I really wanted to do it, this is how I would do it, I think. Yeah.
Okay. I think I'm gonna take that from you. I like the passion project. What would your passion project? Yeah, I'm gonna use that. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, please. Yeah, that's what it is. It's passion. It's like, and that's what with filmmaking, I think while we're all here, I'm sure like the reason why you're even running a podcast or you're a filmmaker in general is because of passion. You're passionate about this art form. You're passionate about talking to other creators about the knowledge, about sharing the knowledge. So passionate, it's a good word. It's a good adjective for the project and for what we do.
Okay, Lex. Thank you for joining us today.
Oh
It's
no, we
been
gotta end it
beautiful.
now.
It's been beautiful.
Yeah,
And
likewise.
please come back.
I will. Please have
That's
me back.
and I have more questions for you. You have so
Okay,
much information. Please come back, okay?
absolutely, absolutely. I'm here.
Okay, everybody. Lexx Truss, Black Filmmakers Matter. Thanks for coming. See you soon, man.
See you soon. Thank you.